Help fight Islamic terrorism. Visit www.americansagainst.hate.org.
First, I want to thank you all for coming to this event. It's always important to speak out against terrorism and to remind those in charge that 6 years after the worst attack on U.S. soil, the issue still exists. Friends, I have some good news and some bad news for you. The good news is that the New York Police Department, the NYPD, gets it. Recently, the department released a detailed report warning of the increasing threat of homegrown terrorism in our country. It discusses a radicalization process whereby young Muslims become disillusioned with the United States and begin moving towards jihad or holy war. So the NYPD recognizes the threat. That's the good news. The bad news is that the mayor's office, the body that oversees the police department, embraces the radicals. It is sad that less than 1 year after the tragedy of 9/11, the mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg, appointed an Islamic extremist, Omar Mohammadi, to the New York City Human Rights Commission. At the time, Mohammadi was the legal counsel to the New York chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CAIR, a group closely linked to Hamas. Today, Mohammadi is the president of CAIR New York, and yes, he still sits on the commission. As well, it was under this mayor that a madrasa, the Khalil Gibran International Academy, or KGIA, was recently started that had close ties to Islamist radicals. Of course, it's widely known that the principal designate of the school, Daba Al-Muntasir, resigned after she admitted support for T-shirts calling for a violent uprising or intifada in New York City. And today, just 2 days before the 6th anniversary of the September 11th attacks, we have yet one more piece of evidence to show that New York City Hall has forgotten what happened. Forgotten that 3,000 innocent human beings were slaughtered by Islamic militants, not unlike those militants that the city seems to now be embracing. The Muslim Day Parade is falsely titled. It would more appropriately be called the Radical Muslim Day Parade, because that is really what it is. Those are the individuals that have been involved in the parade. Those are the groups that have been involved in the parade. The parade is radical through and through, and that is why we have called it a threat to the city and a danger to national security. Last year, the Grand Marshal of the parade was Siraj Wahhaj. If you do not already know, Wahhaj's name is found on the United States Attorney's list of potential unindicted co-conspirators of the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center. Wahhaj is number 158 on the list. Osama bin Laden is number 95. Muzammil Siddiqui, the former president of the Islamic Society of North America, or ISNA, was also a past Grand Marshal of the parade. Siddiqui's claim to fame is that he once threatened America outside the White House in October of 2000, less than a year before 9/11, saying if the U.S., quote, remains on the side of injustice, the wrath of God will come, end quote. Another past marshal of the parade was Ashraf Fuzaman Khan. Aside from his role as the former president of the Islamic Circle of North America, or ICNA, Khan has been accused of being a death squad leader during the Bangladeshi genocide of 1971. If it is one thing that we would like to have accomplished here at this rally, it is to make people aware of the fact that there are war criminals still walking around that were involved in the 1971 mass murder of Bangladeshi citizens, including children, which left as many as 3 million innocent people dead. We call an investigation into this matter, and if Khan did indeed play a role in this genocide, he needs to be brought to justice. Yeah. So far, we have an unindicted co-conspirator, a man who threatened the U.S., and an accused death squad leader as past marshals of the Muslim Day Parade. This year's pick for Grand Marshal is interesting because just a couple weeks ago, the parade organizers were advertising U.S. Congressman from Minnesota, Keith Ellison, as holding the position. For about a week, the homepage of the parade website had Ellison's picture on it, announcing him as, quote, Grand Marshal. In fact, Bridges TV, the Islamic television network, is still advertising him as such on its website. And certainly, regarding Congressman Ellison, it would not be a stretch for him to participate in this parade because he has been involved in numerous radical Islamist functions around the nation. In fact, just this past May, he had spoken in front of the Minnesota chapter of the Muslim American Society. This while the group propagated material on its website calling for the murder of Jews and the waging of war against non-Muslims. The material is still there, and Ellison refuses to denounce it. However, even after his involvement with so many other radical Islamist events, Ellison's office, according to a report, has stated that he will not be the Grand Marshal of this year's parade. So who is? We're not sure. But it turns out that the role of Master of Ceremonies is being played by none other than the former president of CAIR New York, Ghazi Cancan. Cancan, just 2 months after 9/11, at an interfaith event, publicly pledged his support for Hamas and Hezbollah and stated that, quote, those Israelis who are below 18 should not be attacked, end quote, which of course means those 18 and above should. Co-sponsoring this event is the Islamic Circle of North America, or ICNA, whose national headquarters is in Jamaica, Queens. This organization, the ICNA, is the American arm of the Muslim Brotherhood of Pakistan, Jamaat-e-Islami, and an active donor to Hamas. Another co-sponsor of the parade is CAIR. CAIR just recently was named an quote, unindicted co-conspirator in the Dallas trial against leaders of the Holy Land Foundation, or HLF, a charity that raised millions of dollars for Hamas. CAIR was created by an American propaganda wing of Hamas, the Islamic Association for Palestine, in 1994, and had dealings with the head of Hamas at the time, Musa Abu Marzouk. And one more co-sponsor of the parade is the Muslim American Society, or MAS, which, as I mentioned previously, propagates violent material, including that which calls for the murder of Jews. With all of this information and more that I have not mentioned, could it possibly be wrong to call this parade a threat? The answer is no. The following quote was recently found on the website of the youth arm of the ICNA, Young Muslims. It was written by a Young Muslims leader that goes by the nickname Living Shaheed. Shaheed, the Arabic term for martyr or suicide bomber. He stated, quote, I pray to Allah that I would become violent if someone stole my home or killed my brother or sister or denied I existed or even had a history. Israel and America have to be made to realize that a just peace is the only solution, even if it means they realize it at the barrel of a gun, end quote. The city of New York, the home of the worst terrorist attack ever on American soil, needs to wake up. New York's officials need to understand that the people and organizations represented at this parade are indeed radicals and are indeed a threat to the city and to our nation. They also need to understand that to hold a Muslim Day parade 2 days before September 11th is offensive and an act of disrespect toward the memory of those that perished on 9/11. It is this city's responsibility that action be taken against these groups, and that the Muslim Day Parade never sees the light of day again in 2008 or any time in the future. If New York's officials wish to find the homegrown terrorists that the NYPD mentions in its report, it is possible that they need not look any further than those they are currently embracing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good job, bro.
Thanks.
Great job, buddy.
You look great.
Help fight Islamic terrorism. Visit www.americansagainst.hate.org.